What happens when a presenter has 20 minutes to speak, but 40 minutes later, they're still going? Of course, it undermines their credibility. Luckily, there are simple ways to make sure you always finish within your allocated time. We'll discuss that in this episode. This is Show Stopping Speakers with me, Mobeen Tahir. Here, I share with you stories and practical tips for becoming a memorable public speaker. So, I'm at a conference and I'm waiting for my turn to speak. There's a presenter on stage. And while they're presenting, I notice that the moderator suddenly stands up. Maybe it's time for the moderator to announce the next speaker. But I see that the speaker is still going. So after a few moments, the moderator starts pacing. He starts looking at his watch. And clearly, there's a nervousness, a sense of discomfort in his body language. Now, a few more moments pass. The speaker is still going. And of course, the moderator becomes very uneasy. Now, at this point, people in the audience start noticing the moderator and they see that he is now pacing up and down. And clearly, he is now getting a bit worried about the speaker going over their time. Eventually, when the speaker finishes, considerably late, there's a sense of relief in the room. Everyone is now relieved on behalf of the moderator and on behalf of everyone else because there was a sense of discomfort, almost like an elephant in the room. But what a shame, because what the presenter was presenting was very powerful, a very strong presentation. But just because they were going over their time, the energy in the room had just completely shifted. Everyone's focus was now on the clock rather than on the message that the presenter was delivering. So this is a situation we don't want to find ourselves in. We don't want to be the speaker who holds everyone back if it's time for lunch. We don't want to be the speaker who derails the agenda of the conference. We want to make sure we are always on time. So, what are the simple things we can do as presenters to make sure we always finish within our allocated time, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, we always finish within our allocated time. So, I will give you 6 simple tools, and with those six things, you can very easily ensure that you always finish within the time that you've been given. First and foremost, number 1, say more with less. If you want to make sure you finish within your allocated time, say more with less. Smart people who've done a lot of very good work, they have this tendency, it's very natural, to want to share everything you know and everything you've done in your presentation. Why wouldn't you want to do that? You've done all this great work. You want to very proudly showcase all of that great work in your presentation. But in doing that, you bring too much. You bring too much and pack it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and inevitably you end up going over your time. So the key is to make sure you know your most important messages. If you've done work that amounts to 1,000 messages, well, distill it down. What are the 3 most important conclusions that you can draw from all that great work? And what really matters to the audience that you're speaking to? Can you convey that? Can you communicate that? Well, if you think about it like that, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes will be plenty of time to convey your most important messages, and you will never go over the allocated time. Number 2, if you are using slides, declutter your slides. Of course, if you have 300 words 10 bullets, maybe 5 charts, very busy slide, you will feel compelled to touch on every single thing that's on your slide. I mean, if it's there on the slide, it's there for a reason, right? You want your audience to know why you've put something on the slide. And then inevitably, you go into this rabbit hole, you go into the sort of detail you don't really need in the presentation. But in doing so, you go over your time. And so the trick is to declutter your slides. Have simple slides, just a chart or an image with a title on top that conveys or supports your main message. That's what slides are for. You, as presenter, you are the presenter and you are the person everyone should be focused on, not the slides. You are the star of the presentation, not the slides. So the slides should be there to just support your presentation, not take over your presentation. So declutter your slides. Number 3, have fewer slides to begin with. Now, if someone has 20 minutes for a presentation and they share a slide deck that is 50 pages long, now immediately that's a red flag. You know that there is no chance that they will finish on time. And if they do, they will be rushed and they will be flicking through slides and it will not be pleasant. Now, how do you go from 50 slides to a reasonable number that you can actually manage in 20 minutes? Do you delete? Now, deleting is hard. Of course, if you've done all that work and you've produced a big slide deck, well, can I delete slide number 37? Well, no, there's some very important stuff on slide number 37. I can't delete that. But if you just completely think about it from a different perspective, don't delete, build from scratch. Well, I've got these 3 messages that I really want to communicate. What illustrations do I need on the screen to support those messages? Well, if you start thinking about it that way, you will only build what you need rather than take everything that you have and trying to fit that into your presentation. So fewer slides and you will never go over your time. Number 4, prepare by speaking out loudly. Now, if we do the effort of preparing for the presentation, but we do it in our head instead of saying the words out loud, we will find that on the day when we actually deliver the presentation, because the presentation is not going to be in our head, it's going to be delivered verbally, we will find the experience very different. And when we actually say those thoughts out loud, generally the time that it takes you is very different, and often it's much longer. So when you're preparing, it is important to create the conditions as closely as possible to the actual day. And at the very least, say out loud the things that you want to say. And that will help you, particularly if you find it hard to stay within the allocated time that you get for your presentations. This way of preparation will certainly help you. Number 5, don't add new things on the day. Now, this is very important because when you get into the rhythm of presenting, you are sharing a story, you immediately think of something else, you find these additional details that you feel, oh, this could really support my presentation, let's throw that in as well. And at every point during the presentation, if you fall into that trap of sharing more and more, then of course you end up with a much longer presentation and you go over your time. So be very disciplined with what stories you want to share, what messages you want to convey, what facts, what details, what research, what insights you want to bring to the presentation, and then try not to add new details on the spot, even if you feel the need to do that because you think it might be a great compliment to what you're sharing with the crowd. So don't add new things on the day, and you will find yourself on time and never going over your allocated time in your presentation. Number 6, and this is something that seems very obvious, but it's very powerful, and that is just to be aware of the clock. Now, a lot of the things that I coach when it comes to public speaking, it's a lot about awareness. I teach people the importance of a pause and just being aware of the power of the pause. They tell me that now they start listening to others, and they notice the pause. They notice how powerful that pause is. And it's just that awareness. Being aware of these little things can really help you. So, knowing that there is a clock, knowing that you've been given 20 minutes, and knowing where you are on on that 20-minute time that you've been given, well, that awareness will help you. So, yes, it's easy to get into the groove when you're presenting and get into that state of flow, but you always must have that awareness that you have a limited amount of time, and are you on track with your presentation to stay on time. So if you do those 6 things: say more with less, declutter your slides, have fewer slides, prepare by speaking out loudly, not add new things on the day, and be aware of the clock. If you do all of those things, you will deliver a presentation that doesn't go over the time that you've been allocated. So remember that not everything belongs in your presentation. Sharing fewer, carefully chosen points and delivering them effectively is what makes your presentation strong. And it also avoids a situation where you become the speaker that makes the moderator of the conference panic and pace around the room. Thank you for tuning into Show Stopping Speakers with me, Mobeen Tahir. Subscribe for more stories and practical tips on public speaking, and share this with someone who might find this useful as well. And I will see you next time.